Well, hello there, fine folks. It's Dave here with Self-Reliance Survival, and I'm getting ready to embark into the bush for probably going to be about a 3-day, probably a 2-night, a 3-day rabbit hunting and snaring, maybe some grouse endeavor. So I'm going to get back in there. Like I said in my introduction to this channel, I have a sister company here called Off Grid Living with David Knoll, and basically it shows the journey that I've taken to get pretty self-reliant and be able to provide myself with almost everything I need to live out here. But a part of that is I have to get in the bush and I have to hunt and I have to trap and I have to get stuff, be able to supplement my diet and be able to supplement, just basically feed myself. So I'm doing this video kind of series here in about probably a 3-part series. So we did the introduction yesterday. Today I'm basically just going to start setting up my camp. So I have a ice shack that I had, a portable one. I'm going to pop it up. In the past I've basically went out in the bush and I've built myself shelters and stayed in there. But by the end of this, you suffer hard. I mean, it's really, really tough to get a good night's sleep, and it's very, very tough to be comfortable. So this year I decided to get a little bit smarter with my system. It's only the second year that I've done this. This year more permanently, because I've actually quit my job and I'm doing this full time now. I'm doing this to supply myself with basically everything I need. It's a dream of mine to be able to do this, to be able to even try this. And I'm at a point now where, you know, I got to shit or get off the pot. I got to do this or I've got to not do it. Just like moving off the grid. I couldn't just do it half-assed. I had to really get out here and start to live this lifestyle. And if I want to take this one step further in self-sufficiency and self-reliance, I have to break the ties, the social ties. And I'm at a position now where I can. So I'm going to go into the bush. I'm going to be doing this now from this point forward, actually as survival for myself. I mean, obviously I still have the means to go to a grocery store and to, you know, acquire food that I need to survive, but I'm going to try not to. This is going to be a full pin. I'm going to try and do this as long as I can and see how successful I can be, because I know I'm going to learn a ton in this journey right now, in this point of being full-time self-reliant and, you know, full-time homestead off-gridder. This is the point in my life where I really worked hard to get at, and I think I'm here. I think I'm at that point. So I want to give you a quick gear lay of what I do when I go into the bush and what I take in if I'm going to be going in for 2 or 3 days at a time. And hopefully with my new setup this year, it'll be even longer because I have that ice shack. And I've actually just sewn in a fire jack, a stove jack, and I have a small portable stove that I'm going to put inside that shelter. So I think I'm going to be very, very warm in there, and I'm going to be very comfortable and protected from the elements completely. So it might allow me to spend longer durations out in the bush where I can, you know, if I'm in a good trapping area, I can stay there, you know, without having to come back to, you know, get warm or acquire food and all that stuff. I might be a little bit more set up this year so that I can stay out there longer and see the benefits, bigger benefits. So let's start off this first video of this, you know, 3-part series. Could be more, could be less, who knows? But of my my gear lay. So I have all this stuff set up to go basically into the bush for long periods of time. And once this stuff is in the bush and I can leave some of it there, I don't have to bring that much in. Today's the day though. Today's the big day where I have to truck in probably 3 or 4 trips of stuff in my sled, my toboggan, get it all there, get camp set up. Today's like the busiest day basically for camp setup for me. But this is just some of the stuff that I bring in to be comfortable in the bush. I bring my gun. You know, I've got extra ammo. I bring my licenses with me, like my small game license, to be able to hunt partridge and rabbit, or grouse and rabbit. In this box here, I have a few extra things. Sometimes I'll bring my 22 caliber out, semi-automatic. So I bring extra bullets for the 12 gauge shotgun. I have bear spray. I have a spare compass. This is actually a pill bottle that's full of 22 cartridges. And then I've got some moose calls, bird calls, a knife,
stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. The umbrella you might think is a bit goofy, but it's actually for my camera, so that when it's raining out or if it's snowing, I don't want my camera getting wet. I can set that up on my tripod. I've got a dry bag here that I can take on day trips. I have my booties for at nighttime. I can put these on when I'm in my shelter trying to get warm, or if I have to go in and out to go to the bathroom, I put those on. I brought a spare toque, spare gloves, really, really nice fur mitts, spare socks. Keep all those in a plastic bag so they don't get wet or damp. Toilet paper, of course. Safety kit. This is a safety kit. It just has a lot of stuff in it that I might need, like medical supplies, electrical tape in case I got to tape a wound up, spare batteries for my headlamp, etc. That's my safety bag. More electrical tape in case I got to tape up a wound. Nothing better to have in the bush than electrical tape if you get into a situation with a big cut or a gash. I've done it lots, and this here really seals up that wound enough that you can get back out of the bush and get yourself fixed up. Flagging tape, obviously, to mark where my snare sets are, and for marking trails where I'm just hiking through really dense bush. What else do we have? I have a small catalytic heater here, which is sometimes really nice because tonight it's I think it's going to stay pretty mild tonight. So some nights when it's mild like this, I can sometimes get away with this small catalytic heater and just opening a vent. And then it just runs off propane, which is kind of nice. Then I don't have to take the risk of getting the fire going and using up my wood. I always bring spare lighters, Bic lighters, in case, I use a ferro rod to light my fires a lot of times. But if I want to light a fire, relatively fast and whatnot, I want to have these Bic lighters. This is a first time thing. This is something from Coghlan's. These are these Camp Heat. They're kind of like a sterno, I guess. They have a jelly in there that you can light up. I'm going to try those tonight, actually, and see how much heat they give me. Obviously, you have to be really careful of the emissions that come off this stuff and make sure you're not making yourself sick, but I always make sure I'm quite vented. For the first time this year, I'm going to be bringing in a solar-powered cell phone charger, device charger. Also has a lamp on the back. I might do a little bit of branding on this one in the video to let you guys and gals know what it's like and how it works. But I want to be able to charge my phone out there, especially taking videos on my phone. Just eats up my battery. And then I have my cable for that. We come down here into some other stuff. I have my ferro rod with Gorilla Tape wrapped around it. We'll do another video on why I do that. And wrap that Gorilla Tape around can really help you out in a pinch if you have wet wood and you got to get it going. Got my sharpening stone. I like to keep my blades sharp. And then some kitchen utensils. So just some sporks, steak knife, spoon, scissors, can opener. I bring a lot of canned goods in. I got this knife, which I love. I think this is called a Maracnal, and has a really nice sheath on it that I put on my side. This is my everyday awesome multi-purpose knife. Then I have my little skinning knife here, which is super sharp. I love skinning rabbits with this knife. Some stuff I bring in. I'll bring in this safety bracelet. It has, I believe, 100 feet of paracord on it, a compass, which actually works quite good. It has a scraper for a small ferro rod. This metal circular piece, this is a ferro rod. This actually works. I've started fires with these. It's a pretty awesome little thing to have on you. And then we come down to the compass. I got my compass because sometimes I get pretty far off the path. And I bring a notepad and a pencil. Always bring a pencil. Pens break, they don't work. This, I can sharpen it 1,000,000 times and it still works. And I can use the shavings to start a little fire if I need to. As well as I've got a whistle in case I get into trouble back there, which has happened before. I can do a couple blows. I keep this notepad, by the way, so I can record waypoints and places that I've been in case I get really turned around. We'll move up here. Well, of course, paracord. I need paracord for my shelter and day-to-day use. I got a flashlight. I've got stainless snare wire, and I also have 20 gauge brass snare wire. I prefer the brass. It really cinches down nicely and does a nice job for me. And then I have plastic bags, big Ziploc bags here to be able to put my game in once I catch it. I love bringing side cutters with me to be able to make my snares on site, not fiddle faddle or a Leatherman, but I like bringing side cutters. So yeah, then we have the pot. Inside the pot, I've got my cup for my coffee. Coffee's a big deal to me. Got some pepperettes tonight for my dog for some treats. Some noodles, easy on the fly when I'm out in the field. I can make those really fast. Lots of coffee. French press for my coffee. Empty coffee can. Sometimes I like using these to make birch resin or just for storage, just food safe storage. And then up here I've got a couple pots with some dish towels and an extra cup. Down here I just picked these up, so I've packed these right full of tea lights. These burn for 3.5 hours. I just did a test on them, got them from the dollar store. And basically I'll just take this lid off, put one inside there, light that up in my shelter. And I've actually made Kwanzaa huts, snow shelters, and heated them with 3 of these, and it was -30. I stayed in there for 8 hours, so it really does give off a nice heat. Some foil trays for cooking. Over here, a little bit more instant coffee for my day trips. I can bring that with me. Some aluminum foil, heavy duty aluminum foil is always handy for cooking. I brought some pancake batter in here. We'll get into a whole cooking show basically out there soon. I brought some meal rations that I've had for quite a long time, but I like taking these on day trips because again, it's something I can whip up really fast if I'm 3 or 4 hours from camp and get myself some good nutrients and fill my tummy up and get me going. So there is my basic gear lay for what I'm going to be taking in the bush tonight. I have food that I'm going to bring in, probably a pound of bacon, some really nice stew that my stepdad made me, and some homemade bread I made. And yeah, I think I brought 4 eggs as well. So this is going to be pretty much it for the next 3 days. And a lot of this stuff's going to stay back there in my trap bag. So I'll keep my trap bag actually in my shelter so I don't have to lug it all the time back and forth. And then I have some extra clothing. Obviously I bring extras of almost everything because it can really change. And I come back to the camp pretty sweaty at night, and I need a spare dry clothes because, you know, I'm freezing. And depending on the situation you're in, sometimes you don't have a chance to get yourself dried off. You just got to peel the clothes off and get in that sleeping bag and get going. But here we go. This is my gear lay. This is what I'm bringing in the bush with me that's going to help me survive and thrive the next 2 or 3 days. So now I've got to get hustling though. It's about noon, I guess. So I have about 5 hours daylight left. That's not a lot of time because I have about a 2-kilometer hike to get my camp set up. And then once I get my camp set up, I have to come back. And I'm hoping in that second trip I can get everything I need back there and get set up enough to have a fire. But it's going to be tight. It's going to be a haul. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Okay, let's get this going.